Hello and welcome back to another lesson or revision lesson on crime and punishment. Okay, so this is crime and punishment lesson in die. Yes, bit of Welsh for you there. Boom. I am a Welsh person. All right, boom. Okay. No, I haven't done the underlining. Okay, so what is the medieval period / era? They're used interchangeably. Period, time span, era, time span again. Okay, so 4 questions here. Let's get cracking. Minute each, maximum 4 minutes. Off we go. All right, welcome back. Obviously, make sure you've got a pen and paper. I should have mentioned that earlier. Make sure you've got your flashcards. Okay, so we need our flashcards. If we haven't already got those, we need some paper to make them out of. Okay. Now, I'd advise you to have a green pen so you can add in any slight mistakes. What was the average life expectancy in medieval times? 35 we're looking at, also 32 actually. We all make sense. Who took control of England in 1066? My main man, King William, my middle name, or William the Conqueror, you may have heard him called. What disease killed half of the bubonic plague, or just the plague, or even Black Death? And then who were forced to work for their lords or nobles? Yes, no, not Mr. Halpin, the peasants. Okay, so that's going to help us a little bit today. But what we're going to have first off is we're going to have a little bit of an overview as to what the medieval period is. Make sure you're making a few notes as you do. Okay, so first off, King really powerful. Okay, so he's got his massive muscles, he's strong, he's powerful, he's got the world's biggest crown. You are not going to mess with the king. If not, he's going to have you killed, or he's going to take your money, or he's going to punish you. So either way, if you mess with the king, it's not going to go well for you. Also, Christianity. Christianity is also really important. So they're Catholic, and we have the Pope in charge. The Pope in charge. Now, you can have a little bit of a dispute between the king and the people. So the people, they cared about Christianity because they knew that if they did good, they were going to heaven. If they did bad, they were going to hell. So which are you going to do? Well, you're going to be good, aren't you? Yeah, people were genuinely terrified at this point because there was no scientific knowledge. They hadn't sort of come up with ideas about science that we have today. That means some people might be atheist. They didn't have any of that. People couldn't read. Okay, so people couldn't read and write. So that's going to be a pen. That's going to be a book. None of that. So if you got your information, you often got it from the church. You often got it from the church. This is where you got all your information. And therefore, you're more likely to believe anything that's said there because that is your only point of information. You couldn't read or write anything, so there was no news to hear. Most of the news you heard was at church on a Sunday. And this is when someone's telling you that if you do good, you're going to heaven. If you do bad, you're going to hell. So more likely, you're going to change your behavior to fix with that. Also, we have people are extremely poor. So I've drawn a tiny pound coin there to show that they have no money. Extremely poor. We also have a small number of people. So if this is population, population means the number of people. Popule always means about the numbers of people. So popular, lots of people like you. Population is about how many people. Populous is about how many people are in an area as well. Okay, so popular is always about people. It kind of looks like people. All you have to do is add an E in there. It kind of fits, doesn't it? So this is Britain. Well, this is England and Wales anyway. So you've only got a few people in the whole country. It's not like we have today where we have big cities. There's not a huge amount of people. Towns, we don't have cities, we only have towns. London isn't even that big at the moment. Yeah, you've got thatch roofs, so you're not made out of brick, everything's made out of wood. Okay, and everyone in that town, because it's such a small place, they all know each other. So these two are talking, they know each other because they've lived there for years, and it's only a village of 20 people. So they know everyone. They've got to know everyone because this person sells to that person, this person helps that person bring in the harvest. They all help each other. Jobs, what sort of jobs do they do? Well, most people are farmers. Okay, so this is my picture of a cow, black and white cow. It's got its udders there because out of there comes milk. That's its head. Look at it, it's a lovely cow, it's an amazing cow. You've also got people growing crops because they're farmers. Everyone had to grow their own food, or they had to do something to make something for someone else. Okay, you had to do most of the work yourself. There's no central heating. You had to go and get fire. If you get fire, you've got to go chop a tree down. If you get to chop a tree down, that's on someone else's land, so you're going to have to do something for that other person. Okay, so first thing I want you to do, task 1, 5 keywords to describe medieval England. 5, I'm going to give you 30 seconds for that, so I don't think you need to pause it. Off you go. And welcome back. That was the longest 30 seconds I think I've ever had in my life. I want to do the countdown theme tune that do 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 do, but I thought I'd distract you. So I did it anyway. All right, so what keywords have we got? Don't shout them all at once. Calm down, calm down. Yes, you could put difficult. Yeah, well done. You could put poor. Yes, well done. Great one. Great one. Oh, oh. Controlling. Yes, you've got the king controlling. Religious. Yes, well done. Oh my God, you're doing so well here. Oh, agricultural. Yes, amazing. That's talking about all about. Is add these now to your flashcard. The flashcard you made last lesson based on medieval times. If you haven't done it, fine. Don't worry, you've got a chance to do it now. So here's the one I had last lesson. So medieval flashcard 514.50. Now you can add a little bit of information as to what the medieval time was actually like, because this flashcard is going to be the first thing or the most important information we need to know about medieval time. Okay, so that should take you about a minute. May take you longer to find it, but that's why we've got the pause button, that magic super pause button. All right, so pause it, get that done, and then come back. Okay, welcome back. Okay, let's have some quick fire questions. Okay, welcome back. So, how scientific was it? How religious was it? Who was in charge? 30 seconds. Well, let's get these done. Not at all. They didn't know what germs were. That's why we had at the start, Black Death kills half of Europe. They didn't know anything about diseases. Okay, no technology, no writing. For most people that is, how religious? A little bit? No, not a little bit. Extremely? Yes. Extremely religious. You could talk about some people being zealots. Extremely religious. Who was in charge? Well, the Catholic Church and the Pope. The Pope. So who was in charge? You could talk about the King and the Church. Okay, really, really important. All right, so let's get going. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at how was society organised. So before we actually get answering that, I want you to just have a think about that, because we have studied this a little bit at Key Stage 3. I want to go into it in more detail now. I want you to just think about what am I going to talk about now. Have a think. How is society organised? You might want to make a few notes. Give yourself 30 seconds. Pause it if you need to. Okay. So, first thing I want to talk about, well, the most important thing is the feudal system. Now, this comes into play more from 1066 with King William. But in some way, it has been going throughout history, throughout the medieval times. So it is correct to say it's been going from 500 onwards. Now, another thing to say is land is really, really, really important. Because like we talked before, it was agricultural, wasn't it? If you wanted food, you had to grow it. Well, do people like food? Yeah, they do. And they also had to live on the land. Now, if you lived on the land, you had to pay money to live there. You had to pay something to live there. It may have been to the king, may have been money, it may have also been food. Because is the king going to do that himself? No, he's not. But he's going to charge you for living on his land. So that's why land is really important. People lived off it and it made people money. So we call this rent. Okay, now, the reason why food's important is because you use it to make bread. So you use it to live, which you can then use to make money or trade for something else. Now, the feudal system. When we recall this, we often say, we think we can say, it's a way of dividing land and power. And yes, it is. But it's more, when we talk about power, it is really, really, really important. So the king, he's at the top. He's really, really powerful. He owns all of England in his head. He owns it all. So therefore, he's got all the land. So he's got all the land. So I'm going to draw England here. He's got all the land. Now, he's not going to make his own food. He's lazy. He's not doing that. It's too important for that. So what he does is he gives a piece of that to the nobles. Okay, I'm going to draw a picture here of people with money because they're really, really rich. So they get some land, but he's not going to do it for free. So what he does is they give him money back and they give him protection. They say, we'll fight for you, we'll fight for you. Now, this isn't just a casual, we give you land, we give you that. That is actually what we call an oath. So the king gives them land and they promise to give him rent and to fight for him. So he would have them on one knee. I don't know what that's going to look like, but that person's going to be on one knee. And they're giving an oath. So this is how society worked, really. People gave oaths. Another word for an oath is a promise. I give you this land, you promise to fight for me. Now, nobles are also super powerful, super important. They're not going to be growing the food themselves. So what they do is they take a bit of that land and they give it to the knights. So this comes from them. So they give land, and in return, they get money, and they also get a promise of protection. So these people are the people that really fight. But again, this isn't just a wishy-washy, okay, there's some land, okay, I'll give you some money. No, it's not. It is an oath. They're promising to do it. They are promising to get this done. Oaths are solemn. It's the most important thing that they can do. They can say, I promise to do this. They're promising to do something for someone. That's important, because if they break their promise, if these knights break their promise to the noble, well, then they're not going to get any land. If they don't get any land, they can't make any food. They'll starve to death. If you then think, oh, well, they'll go work for another noble, why would that knight ever be trusted again? If he breaks his oath, he's never going to be trusted again. No one's going to help him. He's going to have no land. He's going to be able to make no food, and he's going to starve. So the oath is so important. Now, knights are important because they're off fighting. So they get peasants to do the work for them. So I've got them here with their pitchfork. Now there's more of these people, that's why it's a triangle. Less people at the top, more at the bottom. So they get a little bit of land, and they give food. That's going to be bread. Oh, you can't see that. But again, it's a promise. They promise to do it. If not, they can be killed, thrown off the land, and never get any food again. Right. So what we're going to do now is we are going to, well, first off, I actually want you to describe why oaths are important. Right, that should take you 2.5 minutes. Off you go. Pause it. Okay, we should be back now. So, why is oaths important? Creates trust. And as soon as you do that, you get land. Okay, then it also means that you promise to give something else like food or protection. Right, so quick fire questions, 30 seconds, answer those 3, off you go. All right, that wasn't really 30 seconds, so pause it if you haven't finished. But who does the most work? Well, it's the peasants. I don't think I've labelled these, so these are actually the knights. These are the nobles and the monarch. Who is the most powerful? King. I'd say the king, definitely. Also add that church, even though I haven't added it here. Why do people work for one another? They get land after their oath. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is add to your flashcard. So 1, add to your flashcards. So for medieval, and then also create a separate one for the feudal system. Something that'll be 2 minutes. Yeah, so pause it and give yourself 2 minutes to create a separate one for the feudal system, so you can draw it, say how it works, say who's in it, okay, and add any important details that you need to do, okay? Now that you've come back, what I want you to do is answer the question, how is society different to modern life. Okay, how is society different? Actually, yeah, different to modern life. Okay, that should take you 6 minutes. Okay, so sentence starter, remember you take the end of it. So society is different to modern life because, pick out the most important thing that you think of. Okay, you can look at, use your flashcards to do that. You can talk about the thing that's just above it. Some keywords, I'll give you some keywords. Actually, no, you give it a go. You give it 6 minutes, and if you need, come back in a second. I'll give you some keywords and I'll help you out. Right, so welcome back. Here are some keywords. So you need feudal, system, religion. What else do we need? We need land, society, wealth, so talk about money. You need peasants, so the king or queen, which would be a monarch. You need knights, protection. Oh, population, and that really important word, oath, and community. Okay, there's some. Make sure you've added those in. Give yourself 4 more minutes. Go back to it. Okay, so here's a quick answer that I knocked up for us. Society is different to modern life. So feudal system no longer exists. This means the monarch is no longer in complete control, as now we have democracy. So that's a big difference. There they had the feudal system, the king. Now we have democracy. Democracy about how the people have the power. The people have the power. So if the feudal system had the public or the peasants in charge, that might be more like democracy. Whereas in the medieval era, the king had complete control by giving people land in return for protection, food, money, and services. You could talk there, and I've forgotten about an oath. Okay. Today, people provide these things to each other, but not due to taking an oath. So I've already mentioned it in the medieval times. Although contracts are used today, which are similar. Yeah, a contract, legal contract is similar to an oath. So society still works like that. It's just not everyone takes an oath to do something for someone else. Not everyone does. Before, everyone had to. Feudal system also structures society based on wealth. This is different today, as the wealth of a person does not rely on what you are born as. E.g., a poor person, for example, a poor person can become rich, whilst in medieval England, peasants were stuck as peasants. Yeah, a peasant had no chance of becoming a noble. Therefore, the feudal system makes huge changes, or feudal system, yeah, makes huge changes to today. So that's how you could have structured one of your answers. So you've got a sentence style society is different to modern life as a feudal system. So it's got one thing that's going to be talking about. This whole paragraph is talking about just the feudal system. Great. We've then got some key words, key subject knowledge that we've talked about. So complete control, monarch, protection, food, money, and services. And then we've got a comparison. So we're comparing, because that's what the question asks to. So we're comparing. So in a way, it's kind of linking back to the question. Society is different. Today, people provide these things. So it's talking about difference. The feudal system also structures. So again, more knowledge. This is different to today, answering the question, referring to the question. So I'm going to put RQ because we're actually referring to the question, making sure we answer it. And then a final thing, therefore the feudal system makes huge changes. Great. Other changes you could talk about is we're still farming, people still extremely poor, people still extremely rich. That hasn't changed. But you could talk about the static nature of that is different. Now people can change, before they couldn't. More scientific now, less religious, large populations, king less powerful. These are just some to name, but a few. Right, so that's our second question. Second lesson done. Next lesson, we're going to be actually looking at sort of the causes of crime, which we may have already started to look at. Oh, it's exciting. Right, as always, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Off you go.